Good morning, everybody. This is Trevor. This is Trevor with Investor Care. We're going to get going on today's coaching call. I'm pumped about today's coaching call. I'm just going to kind of lining out a few things here really fast, making sure that we've got all the technical aspects in place and I'm not forgetting something. Cool. See some people popping in here. John, awesome, man. Awesome, man. Good questions, dude. Sweet. Yep, good question. So John, give us here in the right spot. Those questions came through. I saw ya. So here's what I'm going to do really fast. I'm going to go over and get my screen shared. We're also going to be digging in some really, really cool stuff with a client of ours, Tom Cafarella, today. So Tom's going to be on here, and I'm going to try to figure this out because I've never actually done a I've never actually done a YouTube live with a guest on here. But Tom has the link. We're going to be getting him in here really quick. I'm going to text him to make sure he's got the link. 1 second here. Un momento. All right, sweet. So he's got the link. What we're going to do is we're going to be walking through. This is just going to be an interview. It's going to be a good time where Tom and I can kind of chat back and forth. We can talk about his story a little bit. We did a full Carrot Cast with Tom. If you want to head over to carrotcast.com, we did a Carrot Cast with Tom recently. And that Carrot Cast, we dig into his story. We dig into all that backstory and everything there. So we're not going to do that much today. We're going to get into the nitty gritty. If you want to learn more of his backstory, if you want to learn more of some of those things, then you can go check out that episode of the Carrot Cast. But for now, we're going to be bringing Tom on here. We're going to talk about exactly what he's doing in his business to ramp up that lead flow. And like I said, just making sure that he's heading on over here because sometimes technology doesn't quite work the way that we want to. And while we're waiting for Tom to come in, there's a few things that I want to share with you guys. Okay. First of all, we're going through some awesome stuff here at Carrot that you guys are going to be the beneficiary of. Okay. You guys are going to be the beneficiary of. And before I tell you about those things, I'm going to go through and answer some questions and make sure everyone knows how to interact with our question tool there on this coaching call. And also, I kind of want to find out where you guys are in the country. So John, yes, all of these coaching calls are recorded and all of our coaching calls get uploaded into the help section. If you're a Content Pro member above, which it looks like you are, head over to the help section, help.oncarrot.com. And you'll find on the left side, it says mastermind calls or coaching calls, and you can find the access to all of our past recordings there, which is pretty cool. And if you guys can really quick, I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Can you guys pop through the questions panel really quick? A quick double yes. Give me a double yes if you could to let me know if you can see me and if you can hear my voice. That way we know the audio is working, the video is working. Quick double yes if we can. A bunch of shy people usually on these calls in the morning, but quick double yes, that way I know I'm not just talking to the wall. Let's see, who's gonna be the first person to jump out of their seat and do a quick double yes so you can. Awesome, there's a bunch of people. Cool, sweet, tons of people. Awesome, Kyle. Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Elaine, TK, John, Raul, Chris. Beautiful. Thanks, guys. Sweet. Jeanette, beautiful, from Colorado. So where is everyone calling in from? Jeanette's from Colorado. Pop through where in the country y'all are calling in from. And it's like my favorite part of the week oftentimes whenever I do these is connecting with our clients and really finding out where you guys are from and digging into your story. I love it. I love it. And yeah, thank you guys for popping through the double yeses there in a big way. Okay, cool. So we got Colorado, Illinois, Alan's from New York, the Big Apple, Chicago, Elaine, Seattle, Chris, Kimberly. Awesome. Yep, Kimberly will get you. Kimberly says, I haven't been active lately and want to launch my site. Where do I begin? We're going to walk you through that, Kimberly, for sure. All right, we got you. And also our support in our live chat is great for things like that. We can help you there, but I got you here in this call. We'll get it for sure. And like I said, we're going to bring on Tom Cafarella here, Chuck from Atlanta, Raul from Miami, Kevin, Florida. Awesome, Kevin. Good to see you, man. Hope all is well since we last chatted. Tyler, I know Tyler's from Arizona, says not seeing the chat on the call. I got you, man. You're right here. So you're in the right spot. So sweet. So while we wait for Tom to pop in here, let's see. Actually, I don't have the. Okay, cool. So I'm going to send Tom a new link really fast here. And while we're doing that, if you guys want to go grab a drink of water or something like that, we'll get it. And send in your questions too. Okay. Sorry about this. There's a little bit of a mix-up on the link, but he's hopping in here shortly. Yeah, send in your questions too. The way that these coaching calls work, if you've never been on a Carrot coaching call, we do these every single Tuesday at 11 o'clock Pacific time. It's your chance to hop on with me or Adrian, and we just really dive in and answer your questions. And oftentimes we have a topic that we teach first, and then we open it up for live Q&A for any question at all. So if you have any questions that are not related to Tom and what he's going to be talking about today, you can still send those through. We'll take those at the end of the call. We try to cap these calls at 90 minutes. And try to answer as many possible questions as we can, which is a blast. But we do try to cap it at 90 minutes. So the quicker that you can get your question in, the quicker we can then get to answering it. All right. So that is something that is insanely fun. And pop those questions through first. And the way to ask questions with us, guys and gals, the way to ask questions with us is if you have a specific question about your website or your account, give us your URL. Okay. Give us your URL and then give us your goal, and then let me know what you've tried to do so far. Okay, so let me send this through. Bam, cool. Just sent that through. Looks like I sent it to his wrong email. So yeah, send through your URL, your goal, and what you've done so far to get there. Then we'll be able to take those questions and answers at the end. Yep, Jeanette says, what other choices are there? I'm not a Facebook fan. Awesome, Jeanette. So there's so many ways that you can get leads, and we teach a lot of them in the 3 lead per day training, but we actually have a video that I did, a whiteboard video. I'm going to look it up really fast. That is 90-day action plan, I think it is. End of the action plan video, I believe, and I'll send it through to you here directly. Let's see. And I'll walk through lots of different ways that you can do it. At the end of the day, you always want to get in front of where your prospects are, right? You always want to get in front of where your prospects are. So if your prospects are on Facebook, sweet, that's just something if you're not a fan of it and your clients are, you need to get over it and you need to get someone that can help you with it. But Facebook is a great way in many markets. Craigslist can be a good way in some markets. Some markets it's really hard. SEO and Google AdWords are our go-tos. So we always start Google AdWords first, and then we do SEO over the long term. That's where the majority of the 50,000 plus leads, when you include phone call leads, come into Carrot every month. That's where the majority of them come from. Is SEO first is about 60% of all the leads come from search engine optimization, ranking high in Google, and then a percentage come from Google AdWords, and then Facebook is the number 3 source right now and growing. So it's definitely growing and increasing. Okay. 1 second here. See if we can get Tom in here. So Tom, it sounds like you can watch me. That's weird because I sent you the invite, and that should if you're on a Gmail account especially, that should let you right in to where you can be a part of the call. Because we tested it right before this. We tested it right before this, and it worked getting a team member of mine on here. 1 second, Tom. Un momento, y'all. Sorry about this. Having a little bit of a technical flub here. Huh. That was weird. So, Tom, so did you get the link in the email, Tom? Because that link should get you to join through to be able to hop in this call with me. And it went through to TC@OC. Okay. And I also sent it through to your other email address. So I just resent it again. Well, the thing is, Tom, the link that has to come through is the actual link to join. So they're not giving me like a join link that I'm seeing. Let me send this through really, really fast. I will send this through. Sorry about this, y'all. Technical. So this proves y'all that you do not have to be a technical genius to generate a lot of leads online, because I am not a technical genius and we're working our way through this. So Tom, I'm sending you that right there. That's the link there that you gave me. So hopefully that lets you join, but I'm not sure if that's the actual invite to join as a guest on the call. So try it out, man. But while Tom's popping over here, hopefully we can get this worked out. Like I said, send in your question. We'll start answering some questions. I'm gonna launch my slides live here for a second. And
What's going on here?
There it is. Yes.
What happened? You don't want me on?
Dude, I don't know what the deal was with. So I sent it through, and Google must not have done their job. But we got you on here. Sweet.
Cool. Thank you.
So everyone, meet Tom Cafarella, and I'm crazy pumped about today's call because, first of all, Tom, we're going to introduce you here in a second. I think a lot of people have had a chance to kind of get to know you a little bit just through our podcast together. But what I want to do first, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping. Okay, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping really fast. We're going to dig right in to where we're just going to break apart, you know, what it is that you're doing in your business to generate. I know on the podcast that week it was over 100 seller leads that week, and that's not your only seller marketing. So kind of talk about what your marketing mix is, answer some questions, show some behind the scenes stuff if that's cool with you, which is always fun. I'm going to share my slides for about 5 minutes, and we're going to bounce back and just have a cool conversation. So right here, y'all. All right, cool. So if you guys can see my slides now, like I said, I've got a few slides here for you, and we're just going to walk through this for a few minutes, and we're going to bounce back and have a great conversation with Tom and answer a bunch of questions. But right now, you know, one of the things, the biggest questions that we get on a really consistent basis here at Carrot is, of course,
we do need to correct that though. It's we go on 100 appointments per week.
That's insane, man. That's crazy. 100 appointments per week. And with Carrot alone, I think that's where we got the number. Was Carrot alone? It's 100 leads through Carrot alone per week that comes through there. Not to mention phone calls, I guess. So it's probably a lot more than that, right? Yeah. It's probably way more. And then you guys have your other marketing too, dude. I love it. So we're gonna be digging in today, guys, with Tom, #1 home buyer in Boston, and what he's done to build up this marketing machine. What you guys can borrow from it too. No matter if you're a smaller business in a smaller market or you're a big business, you guys can implement these things too. And we have rolled out some new content for y'all. So make sure you guys every single week, every single Tuesday and Thursday are checking out our blog. Today we rolled out a new Carrot Cast with April Crosley. April's been with us for quite some time, almost since the beginning. And that was back when she was just getting started. Now she flips about 10 houses a year up in rural Pennsylvania. And she's acquired 40 units that she rents for cash flow. And so we kind of go through her story. And also there's a couple other things. One that I recently got over some big goal barriers just in the past 2 months. And I shifted the way I think about goals in a big way. And I walked through it in this short episode. I think it's under 15 minutes. But I walked through it in this short episode. Head over to our blog on carrot.com, where hopefully that'll help you break through your goals as you're planning things out this next year. Last, before we dig in, is doses of awesome. It's like one of my favorite things here throughout the day at Carrot. We get tons and tons of testimonials every single week, every single day. And that's what keeps us like, I mean, that right there is our fuel, okay? Because at the end of the day, I'm not passionate about leads per se. I'm not passionate about software per se. I'm not passionate about real estate. They're all amazing tools to help us get where we want to go and help you guys get where you want to go. What I am passionate about is driving you guys towards this better life as an entrepreneur, because so many of us entrepreneurs build businesses that trap us. So many of us entrepreneurs build businesses that don't do what we wanted it to do. That don't give us the freedom, the flexibility, the financials that we wanted. And so whenever you guys share these stories with us every day, it pumps us up that we're doing the right thing. RJ Bates, who's crushing it, I had a chance to go on his podcast a few weeks ago. So if you have a podcast to get some listeners, let me know. I'd love to be on it. But RJ popped this through and it just pumped us up. It says, the amount of positivity from you, meaning Adrian and Trevor, make me love Carrot so much. I just interviewed Trevor in the podcast and blown away by the perspective and dedication of being a positive influence. And then he goes, I'm going to go create another website. So he went and launched another website and he's going to be getting some leads from it, which is sweet. So those are the types of things we love to see. But also every single week we get notification of people to closing deals. Talked with John Gillen last night. He's down in Birmingham. He's closing a deal Friday, another one next week. They're not big ones, but the deals are pretty darn solid. And so those are ones we see deals closing every single day here at Carrot. So if you're not sure if you can do it, you 100% can do it. You just got to actually follow the plan, have confidence, knowing that this does work and we are the best performing tool in the industry. And Tom talked about that in his podcast with us. But then follow the plan, show up to the coaching calls, and then implement what we teach. Okay, if you trust the system, follow the plan, show up to the coaching calls, and implement what we teach, and keep rinsing and repeating and have patience, you'll get results. Okay, we're going to coach you to it. So anyway, this right here, I guess this is one Brendan put in there. So Tom, I think he yanked this out of our podcast, but said, if anyone said to me, Facebook ad account, but I want to, okay. So it looks like on that podcast, you're mentioning that, you know, whenever you work with people and they're not using a carrot site, especially from their fake Facebook ads, you're like, dude, that's not going to work. So,
well, if you're paying for traffic, you need to convert it, right? So if you're going to pay for somebody to go somewhere, which you have to do on Facebook or Google or any other internet site, you want to make sure that you're going to get their name, you're going to make sure that you get their email, you're going to make sure that they get their phone number. And if you're dropping them to somewhere that doesn't basically allow you to have the highest probability of closing it, then you're just wasting your money.
And dude, so this is a good spot to start, right? And then we'll turn it over and we'll just have a good conversation. So I'm going to stop the screen sharing here right now, and this is going to be the kind of question and answer phase, and just really, it's really us having a great convo. Is so you of course moved over to Carrot. You're the biggest home buyer in your market, and you moved over to Carrot 6, 7, 8 months ago, might have been longer. And we talked on the podcast about the impact it had made in the lead flow that you were getting online. So everyone on this call, of course, is a Carrot member, and they all have options. They can all set up their own WordPress site. They can hack together a Weebly site. They can go to our competitors who say they focus on performance, but the data doesn't show it. What has moving over to Carrot done for you as far as the results you're getting versus going out there and trying to go it alone?
Well, I did try to do it alone, and I was doing it alone. And to be honest with you, I didn't know that there would be a difference. And it's just something I mean, I have a pretty good understanding of marketing in general, but I didn't really have a good understanding of website marketing and how important it was to make sure that you've got a really good, contact capture page. And that's really the biggest thing. And I think the biggest mistake that people make when it comes to their website is that they try to make something that looks really, really pretty and complicated instead of something that converts. So at the end of the day, putting up 1 million pictures of your before and afters, which is what I did, is nice. Your mother will go to the site and think it's better than my current site, my current Carrot site. But that's not the purpose of having a website. The purpose of having a website is to get emails and phone numbers and the names of potential sellers that are going to sell to you at a discount. So like I mentioned on the podcast, I just kept hearing over and over again that, people that I was working with, that I was coaching, were using your site, and they were saying, they had good results. And so, like I mentioned on the podcast, I really did not believe that your site would do better than mine. But I spend a ton of money on marketing. I spend over $1 million a year in the Boston market. And I said, for whatever it was, $100 a month, let me just test this and let me push half of my traffic to my site, half my traffic to the Carrot site. And I did that, and it more than doubled my conversions. And I had some cool things set up on my old site. Like I had a chat box that I thought would really help me. Like when somebody would come onto the site, it would engage them into a chat conversation. That didn't work, and I thought it would. So essentially, with the money that I'm spending, I'm getting double the amount of leads. So the proof is in the pudding, and I don't argue with the methods anymore. I just big believer in just using with what works, and it's really worked for me.
I love it. So guys and gals, the one thing I want you to take away from that is he said, don't argue with the methods. Like, go implement, just trust it and run with it. Sweet. So let's roll back, man. And I didn't give you a proper introduction, but let people know who you are if they haven't had a chance to listen to that episode of the Carrot Cast. If you guys have not listened to it, head over to our blog, find that episode with Tom, or go to iTunes, find that episode with Tom, and listen to it, because he gives some pure gold in there. I've had so many comments from people. But Tom, who are you? What market are you in? And kind of what is the scale of your business? Then we'll start to dive into what did you do to get there?
Yeah, so I'm a Boston-based investor, like you mentioned. I do over 100 fix and flips a year. I've got over 300 rental properties. I'm probably not probably. I know I do the most volume in Boston, and I've done something that I don't know why more people don't do it, but my biggest kind of claim to fame is using the investment part of the business to build a real estate brokerage. So in the past 2 years, I've grown, a 0-person real estate brokerage up to today. We've got 175 team members. And what that's allowed me to do, and why I'm such a big proponent of building a brokerage off the investment business, is it's allowed me to have, effectively an unlimited marketing budget. Because like a lot of people probably mention with the leads that come in, a lot of people in this market want retail. And in order to convert the investment leads, you've just got to get a lot of volume, because most people do want to sell retail. And so what I teach people to do, both in my market and outside of my market, is how to make sure they're maximizing their leads so that they get the biggest ROI that they can. So if you spend $1,000 on marketing and you've got your real estate license, you should be able to bring back $2,000 just in listings, and then that will effectively give you an unlimited marketing budget to then spend as much money as you possibly can on marketing. And we've maxed out our marketing budget in Boston to the point where we're doing things now that don't even have a good ROI, because we've maxed out Facebook, we've maxed out Google. Like, we're doing billboards, even though billboards are a terrible ROI, because of the fact that we just maxed out all of the other components.
Man, so you said something really important there, and we mentioned it on the podcast, but I think it's something that is so worth digging into more, is this right here. So number one, that quote on the top of your head behind you. I want everyone to read that. I want you to read it over and over again. And if you guys have to, get something in your office that has it up there. And it says, ultimately, the business that can spend the most to acquire a customer wins. And you mentioned that you guys are outspending your competition. And one thing that I've seen so much is, especially with our clients and support lately, is we'll see people in a shifting market where there's more competition, where let's say Google AdWords or Facebook or SEO or whatever it is, direct mail, they're all getting more competitive, and people start to then get squeezed out, and then they stop that marketing method. And at the end of the day, it's because they don't have those other abilities to monetize those leads. And you do a lot of coaching too. So what do you see as people's biggest fear when they go, well, shoot, yeah, Tom, of course, because you've got a big brokerage, but like, what about people who don't have a brokerage, they don't have their license? What should they do to monetize those leads better so they can not get drowned out in a market like this?
Yeah, so I think for every investor out there, they really need to get their real estate license. I don't think there's any excuse to not get it. It's not a difficult thing. I mean, we're not talking about, getting an MD or becoming a lawyer or anything like that. It's a simple process. But in a worst case scenario, you should at least partner with an agent in your market and build some relationship with them where you are getting, some sort of benefit out of all those leads that are effectively dead investment leads. Yeah. Because when you're marketing on Facebook or on Google, the problem with internet leads, as opposed to mailing or cold calling, is you put an ad up on Facebook and you don't know, for example, whether or not that person has equity. So the problem with that is, if they don't have equity and they literally can't take an investment offer, that's a dead investment lead. So in order to compete with somebody like me who's making money off that lead, you've got to also make money off that lead. And the quote behind me, is something that we live by, because I can convert, I can make money on any type of real estate lead. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter whether the property is retail. It doesn't matter if it's a mobile home. It doesn't matter if it's a multifamily. And what I see a lot of people struggle with is they get a lead that they don't know how to make money on. And there is potential there to make money, but they just don't know the mechanisms in order to do that.
So let's work some real math here, and then we'll dig into the methods and how to get those leads in the first place. So do working some math here, right? And this is just out of my head, so don't be quoting me on these numbers, y'all. You'll get the idea here. But so working some math here. So let's say you're closing, I'm just making up numbers, right? Let's say you're closing 1 in 20 leads into a deal. I mean, we have a lot of clients closing 1 in 10, 1 in 15. They're highly targeted, and then a lot of people closing 1 in 40, right? Because they just have more broad marketing. Let's go 1 in
Yep.
20. So you're closing 1 in 20 leads into a deal. You know, let's say your average profit per deals, let's just go with 30K. I know in your market it's way higher. So that enables you even more to spend more. But let's say it's 30K. And then so 1 in 20 turns into 30K. And so that means you have 20 leads that you've gone through. And only one of those, if you're just going for the pure wholesaling or flipping or whatever method would get you that 30K, only one of those out of 20 would actually turn into profit. So in just using broad numbers, let's say, well, I guess what is do you guys know your overall lead to close ratio? Sure you do.
Yeah, so we know it both on the investment side and we know it on the listing side.
Okay.
So roughly speaking, 1 out of every 3 appointments that we go on, we convert into a listing, and 1 out of every 10 appointments that we go on, we convert into an investment deal.
Okay.
So, and when I say investment deal, it could either be a wholesale or it could be a fix and flip. And the 100 that I'm talking about doing, those are fix and flips. So we do a bunch of wholesaling as well, but I don't count that as much, as that's just like almost practically the same as a listing in terms of just you're getting paperwork and you're kind of done with it.
So you're basically getting 3 times the number of listings as you are investment deals. It sounds like, according to those numbers.
Oh yeah, and then the other people, like if we meet with 10 people, 9 of them probably really want retail pricing, and some of those we're not converting into listings because, you know, maybe their uncle's a realtor, or, you know, there's all these different, you know, variables as to why we don't end up converting some of those leads.
So with those, just so everyone understands the process, and then like I said, here next we'll dig into how you actually get the lead. You go to a meeting, and you guys are presenting. Are you guys presenting both a listing offer and a cash buy offer? So they have these 2 choices from you.
Yeah, the first thing we do really is we go through the sales process the same every time. You know, we greet the person, we build rapport by using the Ford principle: family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Walk through the property using Ford. Get back to them at the table. We have to get to a table because we've never gotten anybody to sign anything standing up or at a car or outside of the property. So we get back to their table, and then we do a needs analysis. So we've really got to dig down into why they're selling their property, where they're going after the fact. We educate them on the difference between what an investment offer looks like and what a retail offer looks like, and the pros and cons of both. And even if you don't want to get your real estate license, or you hate real estate agents, or you don't believe that you should try to convert any of these into listings, you have to understand that every single seller is going to compare an investment offer to a listing. So you've got to know the pros and cons of both. If you don't know them inside and outside, it's going to be hard for you to make a recommendation and build credibility and build trust. So when we go out there, we're laying everything out on the table. We're going to say an investment offer is going to be in this range. A listing is going to be in this range, based on the 20-minute conversation that we've just had of you telling me that you need to close on a specific date. You don't want to fix anything. You don't want to get people through your property. It definitely makes more sense for you to sell your property to an investor, right? So at the end, basically by the time we start talking numbers, we already know where that appointment is going to go, because we've uncovered what the seller's true needs are. So we uncover the needs to determine really what the recommendation should be.
Gotcha. So that right there is a big deal. So if you guys are out there making offers, and once again, what we're trying to do is, before we start to give you all these sexy, awesome ways to get leads, we've got to go. You can drive all the leads through a fundamentally broken monetization process you want, but you're not going to crack through that market like Tom has. And so he's basically giving them multiple choices. Now there's some psychology stuff that's sweet in there, right? So we're doing this here at Carrot too, and I've done it in my previous businesses and other stuff, where anytime you can give people choices to decide on that are both you, like, you start to increase your odds of winning. What most people are doing. Oh, go for it.
That's the thing. So let's say that you just go out there and you can't talk about the listing option at all. Now what ends up happening is the next appointment right after you is a real estate agent. And what do you think that real estate agent is doing? I mean, they're a trained sales professional. They're going to do they're going to say, why are you going to take an investment offer? I can make this process hassle-free, and I can do this and I can do that, and I'll get you more money for your house. So if you're going to let that competition in, you may end up losing it. And all of this stuff, you get enough leads, you meet with enough sellers, you can not have a sales process and still do deals. And in fact, most investors, that's what they do. They just get enough face-to-face appointments that they close deals. But the better that you can get at this, the higher your conversion is going to be. And typically speaking, that's going to allow you to either spend less money on marketing or spend more money and do more deals.
Dude, I love it. I want people to key in on that psychology there, right? So you've got what a lot of people are doing is they're saying, hey, here's my offer. Here's my one choice. Now, some people give them a few options. Like, here's what, if you want to close like in a week, here's this. And if you want terms, here's this. That's cool. That's even better than just giving one. But you're giving two fundamental different choices. So now in their brains, they're going, okay, I don't feel like I'm pigeonholed to just decide, am I going with this or not? I want to shop around. Like I want to feel like I'm actually choosing and getting to choose what's best for me. And so you're giving them that ability to choose two great options. Both of them happen to be with you. So then they can go out there and confidently make sure that they're taking care of their problem the best. So yeah, I love it. Let's roll back to how you get the leads. So you guys are going on over 100 seller appointments per week, which is crazy. Your market's big, but still that's a lot. Like, yep, you guys are crushing it. So what's your biggest resource marketing wise to drive those 100 seller leads per week right now?
There's 4 big ones, and really, like any investor who tells you that there's other things other than these 4 things, I mean, they're just making stuff up. So there's cold calling. So we pay people to cold call, and I have my agents cold calling on list of properties that I want to buy. Okay. We spend a ton of money on Facebook. We spend a ton of money on Google, and we spend a ton of money on mailing. We have a mail center in my office and somebody that works the mailroom full time. And while in this market, your cost per lead is going to be the highest on mailers, it's still a really good source. But my number one right now is Facebook, because we can get the lowest cost per lead on Facebook. Gotcha.
So what are you guys getting per lead right now on Facebook?
Anywhere from $50 to $100 a lead, which for motivated seller marketing is really, really cheap. Because a Google lead in my market right now is anywhere from $300 to $400. So you can get, 3 to 5 leads for the price of one Google to Facebook. And Google leads tend to be a little bit better just because the person is going and searching you out. But I would rather have 5 Facebook leads than 1 Google lead.
And what I want to do is walk people through the math there really quick, because one thing that oftentimes will happen. I see your guys' questions coming through. We'll get to questions here in a little bit. Non-Tom related questions or non-Facebook related questions we'll do later, but keep the questions coming. I love it. So I want people to work through the math, because a lot of people, they immediately go, oh my gosh, $90 a lead or $400 a lead, and they immediately might think that's expensive. But at the end of the day, if you work the math, those are actually really, really affordable leads for you in your market with the numbers. I know based on what we talked about.
That's me like doing everything perfect. I mean, you can, if you do it wrong, your cost per lead can be higher, but the profit margins are so big that it's worth it to spend the money on marketing.
Yeah. So even looking at $400 a lead, so let's say that really, really top end, maybe even have a higher cost per lead if you don't nail it that week. But let's say $400 a lead. And let's say, so in order to get those appointments, Tom, so you go on 10 appointments, you're closing one investment deal in 3 listings, assuming that those numbers hold true. Is that correct? Okay. So how many calls or how many leads will it take to get 10 appointments?
It depends on the lead source. So Facebook, it might be more like 4 leads, whereas Google, it might be 2, and mailers, it might be could potentially just be one call in, because people who typically will call off a mailer, they usually do want to meet, other than the people who are calling to say, take me off the list.
Okay. So you're talking Facebook, 4 leads.
4 or 5, somewhere in that range to getting an appointment.
Okay, cool. So even if we look at this, right? So we've got 4 leads right there. Let's just use these Facebook numbers. And of course, this is not using your Facebook lead number. I'm using a crazy high number here. So I'm using 400. You mentioned your Facebook lead number is under 100 usually. So 400. I'm going to times that by 4. So let's say it took us 4 leads to get 1 appointment. Okay. I'm going to take that now and times it by 10, because Tom mentioned 10 appointments gets X result. We're going to times that by 10. So basically you're about 16,000 bucks in to get your 10 appointments, right?
Mhm.
But your average profit per deal. So what is your average listing commission right now?
About 10,000.
Okay, cool. And I'm going to get out my notepad and start writing stuff here so I don't mess up these numbers. So average listing commission is about 10K. And then what's your guys' average flip profit?
Probably about 70,000, I would say.
70K. And this right here is where this is magical, y'all. Because if you start thinking about marketing this way, the same way Tom has that quote behind him over the top of his head, this is where you win the game. And then you can start to drive as many leads through the different sources as you can at that funnel and make it work. So it costs 16,000 bucks to get 10 appointments using these very, very high assumptions. That's saying 400 bucks a lead, which is like way higher than he's actually paying in Facebook, right? So we're just using a crazy number here. So out of those 10 appointments, he's going to close on average 3 listings, which is going to be about $30,000 in commissions.
And I do a 50-50 split with my agent, so I'm really getting 15.
Okay, cool. So your company as a whole brings in about 30K, and then you as the guy who owns the business gets about 15K. So that's an important thing too. That's not you going up there and doing the listings. You've got a team who's doing that. So if someone doesn't want to hustle around and do all these listings and be an agent, cool. Find people who want to, who could use really good leads and partner with you. And then next, on the flipping side of it, so out of those 10, you're going to get one that turns into a 70K profit. But how much profit ends up trickling back to you after you pay your salespeople and this and that out of the 70K?
Oh, all of it. I'm talking net on that. So, cool. So yeah. So the goal for me always is to make money just on the listing side alone. So if I spend in your scenario 16,000 or whatever the number, 14,000, I can't remember what you used, but my goal is to be profitable just on that, on the listing side, so that basically my investment marketing is free. And so that basically what I'm making on the investment deal is 100% profit. And that's why I'm such a big proponent. I had no interest in growing a brokerage, but you know, I'm a entrepreneur, business owner, like to make money. And so it made sense. So I did it.
Sweet. So I want to show people these numbers. So this is kind of chicken scratch here on the notepad. But so these are using assumptions, right? These are using a way, way, way high cost per lead number. This is using 400 per lead, which he's getting him for way better than that in Facebook. This is assuming that 4 Facebook leads turns into 1 appointment, and then 10 appointments turns into 3 listings. Each listing is an average of $10,000 commission, which he gets half of all that. And then each out of every 10, one of those is usually an investment deal, which gets him on average about 70K profit. So all that works out to, he had a cost of 16,000 using these really high assumptions. Okay, those are high assumptions for ad costs. 16,000 for the ad costs, and it returns in these assumptions 85,000 in profits. So I think every single person on this call would probably trade 16K for 85K all day long. The problem is people are so stuck to their $10 leads or $20 leads or $40 leads, $100 leads even.
Well, $10 leads are you can't get $10 leads and have them be good leads. I mean, the only way you can get $10 leads is if you're doing like a home valuation, like click here to find out the value of your home. And they're not going to be good. They're going to be a bunch of people who are angry that you're calling because they thought they were going to get a Zillow value and you fill in the form. So it's not just about, you know, obviously I want to get my cost per lead as low as possible. But if you're driving the person through the funnel through a mechanism that doesn't make sense, you can get the cost per lead lower, but you're garbage in, garbage out. You're not going to do deals on that.
And that's the thing. So we showed how even a $400 lead yields, I mean, what is that? It's like a 700%, 600%, 500 or 600% return. So as long as we've got our brains wrapped around that first part of it, sweet. So now let's go into your marketing mix, Tom. So on the Facebook side of it, of course, you're doing a lot of cold calling. What types of lists are you guys calling on the cold calling side of it?
So we break up every city that we like to buy houses based on mortgage balances and demographic information. So for example, like we're not going to cold call or we're not going to mail a person that doesn't have equity because they can't sell to me. And believe it or not, that knocks out a big percentage of the people in every market, because a lot of people pay 3% down or 5% down or whatever. So in each city we're building lists. Like we want to make sure that they've got equity in their home. We want to make sure that they're not in a high-end home, because those are houses that I can't flip. So we'll break out like assessed value under a certain amount of money. We want to make sure that they've lived in their home for a minimum of 5 years, because if they just bought it, they're unlikely to just sell it. And so for each city, we break up everything into a database, and then we mail them, and we find cell phone records for them, and then just call them. And we have people that call them from the Philippines, and then I have my agents. So one of the things I do that's so cool related to the brokerage is that these seller leads that you generate, if you're an investor, what you don't realize is that agents die for these leads. They spend all day trying to get one appointment. If you can give them an appointment, you can have them do things for you. So like for me in my office, in order to get on seller leads, in order to get these face-to-face seller appointments that we generate, they have to cold call on a dialer for me a minimum of 15 hours a week on the lists of properties that I want to buy. So they'll generate additional appointments. They're for themselves, but ultimately, like for me, I'm looking at it like, you know, I can buy houses off this list.
Sweet, dude. I love it. So I actually pulled up your Carrot account here. And I mean, if you're cool with it, we may show some of the stats, none of the leads or anything, but just some of the stats so people can see where the leads are coming from. Mobile.
Yeah, I think you're low on the leads. What do you have? You said 100 a week. I think I've got more than that.
Yeah, you definitely do, because on our end, we can only track the online opt-ins. We can't track any phone calls you get and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's coming soon. Like we're going to put phone call tracking in here in the first quarter of this next year. But right now we can only track online opt-ins. So I pulled a little quick report the last 30 days, and I'll share my screen real quick for a few minutes. Because I'm not going to show any sensitive data or any actual leads or anything like that, but just stats and whatnot, so people can kind of see what's going on. But so I'm actually showing in the back end of one of Tom's sites, y'all, and this is something that like you don't get access like this in the normal general public kind of stuff. So I'm sure Tom's coaching program, he probably goes into a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. Then here at Carrot, we have our advanced marketer plan that we're going to be rolling out. We're actually going to be raising the price of that plan for anyone who is going to be joining that after the price raise. Anyone who's locked into that price, you've got that price locked in. But here in about a month and a half, we're bumping it up to $200 a month because we're adding in a bunch of SEO features in there to help you do SEO better. We're adding in our new video post transcription feature, which I just tested today. It's sweet. It makes it so you can take your videos straight from YouTube. We make articles for them with you. And it's awesome stuff. Anyway, the reason I say this is we're going to start doing at least one high level, like Tom, high level investor interview that's going to be reserved for the advanced marketer side of things. We're going to continue to do our weekly coaching calls with me and Adrian and bring on clients every now and then. But in the advanced marketer, at least one time a month, we're going to bring in a really high level client to show behind the scenes what they're doing. So if you're not an advanced marketer yet, get upgraded over there while the price is basically 25% lower than it's going to be in a month and a half. And then just one of these calls, just this call with Tom could add, 6 figures a year, sometimes more, even 5 figures if you just don't implement all of it. That's your bottom line. So right here, this is just the last 30 days. Once again, this doesn't include any phone call leads. So
you know why this is off though? I just realized. So when you're running an ad on Facebook, we run it to a Facebook form. So we get the lead on the form, and then after they fill out the form, they drop to the Carrot site. So it's 308 that have opted in through that mechanism. So it's quite a few more than that.
I love it, dude. And I want to break that apart because that fascinates me. So looking at this, right here, social, 33% of it's from social, which is from Facebook. Are you guys doing anything else in social? Is it all Facebook?
It's all Facebook. Is there any other social out there?
not only for sellers, I think we haven't seen any success yanking people off of Instagram or anything.
No, I don't think the other ones really work.
An organic search, and that's something that should go up, like we've been chatting as we've been going through the concierge process with you. Sean's got a couple extra things to dial in, and then once we switch that over from your OC buys homes, and that organic is going to go up because you already ranked #1 for that phrase. And then over here, referral, that can come from many, many different sources. That can come from Facebook sometimes, it comes from direct. There's a lot of things that fit into referral. But the cool thing here, Tom, that I want to show people is, so this is back, let's go back 90 days. Because it's not like with your lead sources, the ways you're generating leads, that you're having these massive spikes, then it drops way down for a while. Then you have a massive spike, then it drops way down. It's like you're pretty consistent on what your lead flow is.
Mhm.
You know, summers are always amazing. So you saw that lead flow bump up there in August because people were really wanting to sell their homes in spring and summer. But you're really getting that lead flow consistent. So on the, oh, go for it.
I was going to say, I mean, I don't even think about lead flow anymore. I mean, we just have our budget set, and there's people. I actually had somebody that I talked to today. They said, "Oh, should I wait until after the holidays to start my marketing budget?" And it's like, I don't even think about that stuff anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's people that want to sell their houses all throughout the year, and just because like maybe I got less leads here in whatever the month is, October or whatever that month is,
Mm-hmm.
September 22nd or something like that, that doesn't mean that that person may not have been a little bit more motivated. So I got 81 leads, that week, but there could have been better leads that week for whatever reason. So like
Yep.
if you're going to spend money on marketing, you have to commit to it and just keep the spend there and not even think really too much about it.
Mm-hmm. So let's break apart the Facebook side. So you mentioned you're doing, is it lead ads that you're doing? So you're driving people to a form within Facebook. How are you doing that?
So we do it two ways. So like on our Facebook ads, we both have a link in there to the Carrot site. So for
Mm-hmm.
example, in the copy that I have, basically the verbiage in the Facebook ad, it'll say like click here to get your offer, right? And then that will drop them to the Carrot site. So that's one way that we do it. But then on every Facebook ad, there's a button that you can click and it'll say, like learn more. And when they do that, Facebook will actually auto-populate their email and their phone number that they have stored in Facebook
Mm-hmm.
so that you can get that information more easily so that you're creating less steps for the person. So depending upon how the person responds to the Facebook ad determines whether or not it gets dropped to Carrot or it just goes straight through to Facebook. So if they're clicking, find out more to find out what your offer is, click here, they're getting dropped to the Carrot site. Or if they're clicking learn more on Facebook, they're going right to the Facebook form, and I'm getting that information sent to my CRM.
Okay. And what CRM are you guys using?
We use Follow Up Boss. I know a lot of people, I feel like Podio is the one that everybody uses.
Mm-hmm.
I love Follow Up Boss, but I think the CRM that you use and that you like is the best CRM.
That's the thing, man. So we work with
Yeah.
tons and tons of top investors, and it's like they'll use this CRM and they'll go all in on it, and then like, oh my gosh, that one doesn't do everything we want. And then they switch this other one. And at the end of the day, they
Oh,
circle back to the one they were at originally, going, well, there's not one that does it all for us. Let's just use the one that does most of it, and let's just go with it.
yep.
Kind of thing. So Follow Up Boss, is that a real estate agent specific one? Is that what they focus on mainly?
They sell it to real estate agents, but there's a lot of real estate, like it really doesn't matter because everything is set up in the back end so you can customize it however you want.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I like it is because it's so user friendly.
Yep.
It's something that and like I just mentioned, the CRM that you use is the best CRM. So it's one of those CRMs that is really intuitive. It's kind of like the difference between using, I don't know, an Apple product versus a desktop. Like the Apple product is just more intuitive, even though I've got a I've got a PC right now, but same thing with Follow Up Boss. It's just really easy to use.
Sweet. And I kind of made a mistake a little bit earlier, guys. And guys, it looks like I didn't actually show you my screen when I was showing some stuff. So I'll keep this up here for a second, just so you can kind of see. So this is from the past 7 days. Once again, this doesn't include any phone call leads, and this doesn't include the people like Tom mentioned through the Facebook lead ads section, where if people click that in his ads, which we'll break apart the ads here in a second, if people click that in his ads, that does not show up here. So he's generating well over 100, well over 100 leads per week on the seller side, tons and tons of them from Facebook. So if you're using Carrot, driving traffic, which hopefully you are since you're on this call, make sure to check out your stats, guys. We've got cool stats built in here that most of the time you don't even need to go deeper, and you don't need to even hook up Google Analytics most of the time. Just start driving traffic. And if you're really wanting to dig in deep on the stuff on Google Analytics, you can always hook it up and use that too. But we're continually rolling out new things. We just rolled out this section and this section, which shows your average conversion rate on some of those pages about a month ago, and we've got some other updates coming out too. So check out your stats page. That's where all this kind of stuff is right there. So Tom, what's the best way to kind of break apart what you're doing on the Facebook ad strategy? There's a couple questions in here, and I'm going to stop I'm going to stop sharing my screen. What's the best way to break apart the way that you're doing Facebook ads? There's a question here from, where'd it go? From Garth. Garth, hopefully I'm saying your last name right. Kukla. Says, what a great interview. Can you explain your Facebook ad strategy? What are the ads? How many zip codes do you target? Like, how are you doing your targeting? And what budget do you use for your ads?
So we spend about, I would say, maybe $1,500 a day on Facebook. So we spend a lot. We basically target everywhere in Massachusetts, like within about an hour from the Boston metro. But the cool thing about Facebook is, if you've never run ads before, is you can get really, really specific. So you can get down to the zip code. So there's a few important components of any Facebook ad. There's the picture that you use, which is actually the most important part of a Facebook ad. You're interrupting what somebody else is doing. So where Google, you're on Google and somebody's specifically typing in maybe sell my house fast Boston, on Facebook, they're actually logging in to look at their neighbor's kittens. That's literally like why they're logged in, right? They're logged in to see their friend's stuff. So you've got to stop them, and the stopping mechanism is the picture, right? So you've got to have a picture that makes sense. You've got to have copy that's good, right? So you've got to explain to them clearly what the benefits are of selling to an investor, how to get more information. You know, I wish I could actually just pull up one of my ads, but and how to get more information from you. And then,
you want to? Are you able to pull up some stuff? We can share your screen.
Can you share my screen? I don't know.
So.
Can you?
There should be a thing on your left side. I think if you hover over there, there's a little green computer screen looking thing that says screen share. I mean, it's on my end. I'm not sure if they showed it on your end.
All right. I've got a million screens, so I've got to figure out. I've got 6 screens, so I'm like, got to figure out which one.
Dude, this is my first time doing a YouTube live like this with other people on it, so I'm wading my way through figuring this out too. It's fun. There we go. We can see it. Yeah, we got it.
All right. So yeah, I've got, let me see one as an example, a good one. So this is really like city specific, like micro, and I like going really micro with a specific city. So this is actually the city that I grew up in, and the name of the city is Revere, like Revere, Massachusetts. And as you can see up here, right, I've got something that specifically says Revere Pride, right? So if you're from Revere and you're scrolling through Facebook and you see something specific about Revere, you're probably going to stop, and it's just going to like click with you a little bit more. So obviously you can see here, get a fair offer on your Revere area home today. So this ad specifically, and by the way, I've split tested these ads a lot, so I know that these work. And again, similar to like the website, you have to split test everything that you do. So like I mentioned, when they click learn more here, what ends up happening is their contact information will automatically populate into to the form. And then when they click submit, that'll go right to my CRM. So let me see if I can, I don't know why I can't open this more. But you can see here, I'm Tom Cafarella. I'm a real estate home buyer who's desperately looking for homes to buy in the Revere area. There's a limited supply of homes. Okay, so that's just a copy, right? Like very simple copy, basically explaining to them the process. Let me see if I can. I don't know why I can't open this. I wish. But the basics here, though, again, let me see if I can open another one. And this is just very city specific. So I ran this specifically just to that city. But let me see if I can find another one just so you can see just another town that I run. So here's like Peabody as an example. Sorry, I actually hate the Facebook.
Dude, it's cool. They change it so much too. That's one thing we notice is it seems like every other week they've got a change in there we've got to get used to.
So here's one in Peabody, right? Same exact thing, right? Take a look at a few important things that I think are important. Sell your house fast in Peabody.com. right? So again, it's specifically micro niche to this person. Get a fair offer on your Peabody area home today. Receiving offer within 24 hours. The image of a Peabody logo, and then the verbiage, right? So like I mentioned, there's 3 important things when it comes to the Facebook ads in general. First, you're speaking to that person, right? So this person lives in Peabody. I'm talking to them in Peabody. The image is really important. And then the third thing is the targeting, right? So the targeting really is up to you on how you want to target, but there are certain like demographics that are more likely to sell to an investor than others. So for example, like I'm a 35-year-old guy. Trevor, I know you're
35, man.
Year old? Oh, you're the same age. I thought you were a year older.
No.
Maybe I just look a year younger than you.
You do, dude. You look a lot younger than that,
but so yeah, so like guys like us, we just don't sell to investors. It's just like it doesn't happen, right? So you can get super targeted. Actually you can even see my cost per lead here, right?
Yep.
$78 a lead. So
cool.
So you can get super targeted with the demographic, and age bracket is important. There's also some other things. Let me just see if I can find another one.
That'd be sweet. So you've got, so as you're kind of flipping through these, so you buy in a bunch of different cities. So it looks like you're not doing like a blanket ad over every city and like delivering everyone the same thing. You're targeting in a campaign in Facebook for that specific city.
We've got our cost per lead down lower by doing that.
Cool. And it makes sense, right? Because just like you mentioned, people are in scroll mode. And I remember, man, shoot, it was probably 10 years ago. I got this thing in the mail, physical mail. And dude, it caught my attention so hard and so fast. I usually don't open this kind of stuff. It was something just selling like t-shirts or sweatshirts or whatever. And the reason it caught my name is because I had my last name. I had a picture right on there that had like my last name on that shirt. You know, I don't remember where, but it looked kind of cool. It's like Mock Family or something like that. And what they'd done is they'd personalized that advertising piece. So I immediately connected to it. I'm like, whoa, that's relative to me. You're doing the same thing as you're making people stop as they're scrolling through, find something that's very relative to them. It like overrides that autopilot that they're in on Facebook. So it gets them to pay attention. And then from there, you can get them to read the copy. And if they relate to that, if they need to sell their house, you got their attention. You overrode their auto pilot mode as they're scrolling down, and then you threw them the offer. That's why it works. I love it.
Yeah, because the more that you can get someone to feel like you're talking to them, the more likely it is that they're going to be interested. And they're not even interested. That's the wrong word. The more that you're going to catch their attention, because the first thing that you have to do in any marketing that you're doing is stop somebody, because we're all busy, right? We're all doing our thing. And most of the time, the worst thing that you can do is not grab somebody's attention.
Yep.
So you've got to grab their attention first before you can even pitch them. So like, here's another ad, and these are, you can look at these like so this is the actual targeting, right? So Facebook knows everything about us. That's the reality, right?
Yep.
So they know if you're a homeowner, because what Facebook does, they do something called data appends. So basically, like, Facebook has a bunch of information about you already. Like, they know how old you are. They know if you're married or not. They know what you like. They know what you don't like. But then they use that information and append it. So, right, if they know that Trevor Mock lives in Portland, Oregon, guess what they do? They run that against public record. Oh, okay, he's got a house here, right? He's a homeowner. So they know whether or not you're a homeowner. So obviously, if you're running these ads, you need to run them to homeowners. That's like the most basic one. But then you can also target them matching certain behaviors. And these are just behaviors that we found are more likely associated with somebody that's going to sell their house. So any of these behaviors, purchase behavior, home improvement, purchase behavior. So again, Facebook don't know how they know this, but they know whether or not you're likely to move.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's crazy. So Facebook just knows so many things, your interests, right? So people who are selling their house, right? They're looking into one of these potential things: real estate appraisal, home equity loan, home equity, cash out refi, short sale, refinancing, and then their interests. So, man, I wish I could show my screen better, but this
No, that's good, man.
Yeah, so like their interest. One of the most important things about someone who's selling a house, they're probably thinking about buying a house too, right?
Mm.
They may be thinking about, these are just interests that they have. They might be thinking about for sale by owner. They might be thinking about loan officers. They might be thinking about mortgage brokers, mortgage calculators, new house, Zillow, Trulia, right?
So you've got all of those into that one ad set, correct?
Oh yeah. So like, I wish we had like more time because I could go into more detail, but it has to match at least one of these.
Okay.
So like, it doesn't have to be that they're interested in house hunting and for sale by owner and buying a house. It's one of these.
Okay, gotcha.
And then you can exclude, right? So you want to exclude people that are in the business of real estate, right? Because again, you can show your ads to a real estate agent, but it's probably not going to do you any good. So you want to exclude it, exclude real estate people, right? And so, and this specific ad, this is not a city specific ad. This is the city that my office is in, which is Wakefield, and I ran a 25-mile radius on it.
Okay.
So this is like, I run the city specific ones to the people who live in a certain area. And this is a demographic based one to people that, and let me just see if I put, and I'm just running this one at $15 a day and getting a really low cost per lead. But those are just like some, examples of like what we're doing on the Facebook side.
Dude,
so
that's cool.
The other thing about Facebook that people just need to be aware of, because I don't want to make this seem, it's not complicated, but you do have to like manage your ads. Meaning like you have to like check them all the time. And Facebook, they have something called a relevancy score. So what that means is that if for whatever reason people are hiding the ad, Facebook will think that that's less relevant. So the worst thing for Facebook is when somebody doesn't like an ad and they find it annoying, because if someone keeps getting served up ads that they find annoying, they'll go on Facebook less. And so that's actually Facebook's biggest fear. So if you keep seeing ads that you find annoying, Facebook will actually stop showing them. So one of the important things when you're managing the campaign is to always check your relevancy score. And you want to have a relevancy score of 7 or above. Anything 7 or above, the person isn't getting that annoyed by it. And if you've got like a relevancy score of a 10, then people actually find it interesting. And some of our best ads where we get the lowest cost per lead, the relevancy score is a 10.
Gotcha. So what types of ads would those be? And I guess the next follow-up question there is when you have a campaign, let's say you have one on one specific city, how many types of ads or different ads do you usually run? So is it just that one? Is it 4 or 5? Kind of how do you set up your ad set?
When we first set up the ad set, we're doing a lot of split testing, right? So we're going to run multiple images. We're going to run multiple text, right? And we're going to compare them and split test them. So what we're going to do in any one specific city is we're going to maybe run like 10 ads in one city. And we're going to put a bunch of marketing dollars behind it. And then in 2 or 3 days, we're going to see, oh man, I'm getting a $40 cost per lead with this ad. I'm getting a $200 cost per lead with this ad. And then we scale up the ones that are the winners.
Gotcha. And when
that's important with Facebook too, and it's a really cool thing, which like when you do a mailer, you have no idea how people are responding to it. Like, and sometimes you don't even know, even if it's a good mailer, you might still not get a response.
Yeah.
With Facebook, you almost get like instant results, like to track and to scale up. So like within like 2 or 3 day period, you can say, man, this ad is working really good. And if that ad is working really good in like Revere, then you want to run a similar ad in Peabody. And that's kind of how we figured out the formula. And by the way, I'm not saying that my ads are the lowest cost per lead out there. We're always working to get them better. And there are probably images that could work better, but it's a matter of just continuously split testing and seeing which ones perform.
So when you talk about scaling up, so just to give people some guidelines here, they're going to go out there, possibly target the different cities, create some ads that grab their eye and attention. You can just emulate, kind of what Tom, don't copy it, but use things like that as inspiration. There we go, copy it. And then what do you suggest that they start with for their bid per day? And then what do you mean by scale up? What do you then do to scale up?
I mean, it's hard for me to answer that because I don't know what type of budget the audience is listening to. But the rule of thumb for me, like, let me just see the population
Mm-hmm.
in Revere where I grew up. All right, so Revere has a population of 50,000 people.
Okay.
And out of those 50,000, and I'm just ballparking here, probably maybe 20,000 of them are homeowners.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we run all that demographic exclusion, maybe we get down to 15,000. So when you run a Facebook ad, it'll actually show like how many people per day are going to get shown that ad per the amount you're spending. So I like to spend roughly per city, like a city like this where there's 50,000 people and maybe 20,000 homeowners. I like to spend about $10 or $15 a day.
Okay.
The problem is you can't go much more than that because there's only only a certain percentage of the people are going to be selling, and you don't want to show the ads to every person every single day because the cost per lead will be out of control unless you like needed to buy a house in Revere tomorrow. Like you wouldn't want to do that. So you can run like these micro budgets of 10 or 15 dollars a day for a population of 50,000. Now, if you're in LA, yeah, it's a different story. You might be able to run $100 a day just in LA.
Yeah.
But per zip code, you could probably run like a lower cost per day. So you can really hit once, and Revere is not a small city. It's a decent sized Boston based city. So you can run to basically all of Revere for 15, 20 bucks a day.
Gotcha. Cool. And then to scale up, is that for you guys? Is that just a matter of bumping up your budget? Is that what you're doing there?
Yeah, but like I was mentioning, so I might start in Revere. I might run in Revere 10 ads at $1 a day and let that run for 20 days. And then look at which ones are catching. Or maybe I'll run them at $2 a day or something and see which ones are performing. And then based on which ones are performing, I'll scale up. But like I was just mentioning, there is a top end of that. So like I couldn't run $100 budget in Revere. Facebook wouldn't even allow me to do it because there just aren't that many people.
Yeah. Dude, so hopefully you guys are taking some notes here, right? Because
I know it's like I don't know if I'm getting I don't know if I'm going too in detail on this stuff, but
dude, you're not at all, because at the end of the day, you know, there's a lot of blog posts and a lot of things out there that talk about Facebook ads, but I think where people get stuck is they get stuck when they actually dig in there and they go, oh, man, so that's cool, but like, what should my actual audience targeting be? And Tom showed you his specific audience targeting for a real ad that's out there getting leads for 26 bucks a lead, and in a town of about 50,000 people, or whatever town that was, I can't remember, but anyway, that was an actual campaign getting leads at 26 bucks a lead. But there was another campaign you showed that was like 70 something a lead. The cool thing is both of those, according to that math we showed at the beginning, are crushing it. Like you could spend way more.
Exactly. And like for me, like some of the cities I want to buy houses in more. So you know, Revere, like I think that was the one that was getting 70 bucks a lead. That's where I live. Like you put a street on you give me an address of a house, I might even know what it looks like. So without even going out there. So I know that city so well, I'll pay more for that lead. Like an hour from there where it's a little bit more sparsely populated, where it's not as hot. Yeah, I might need to get $40 leads or else I might not want them. So you have to take that into account too, of like where you're best, because in different cities, you'll make different profits. So there are some cities in the Boston market where I know if I get a deal there, I'm going to make 100K. But then there are other areas where I'm like, not a hot market. It's going to be slower to sell. I might only make 40,000. Now my cost per lead has to come down. And that's something that you won't know until you do a lot of projects. You'll really get, you know, a basis of like your local market. But it's something that like we've gotten down. So we know. The other thing, again, I don't want to go too crazy detail, but there are areas in every single geographic area that are more likely to sell to an investor. So like high net worth areas, even if you could get a low cost per lead, most likely it's going to be less likely that they're going to sell to an investor. So you've really going to know the markets in your specific area that are more likely to sell to an investor. And an area like Revere, where I grew up, it's more likely that person's going to sell to an investor because it's not an affluent area. So I'll spend more because it's more likely. It might be 1 out of 7 appointments in Revere that sell to an investor versus Newton, which is a higher end area, might be 1 out of 20.
Mm-hmm. So the last part of the equation we haven't really talked about much, and it doesn't warrant a huge conversation at all, but so there's some questions coming in. One person said, hey, do we drive them to a specific landing page? So you've got your ad, which is a lead ad, which they can get you can get the lead inside of there, then it sends it to your CRM. And then you've got, if they actually click the ad and go to the website, you're just driving them to your Carrot homepage right now, right? Like just the homepage.
Let me show you guys. Can I share my screen again? I'll
Yeah,
show you something.
share it up, dude.
I think you're gonna laugh at this. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I see your screen.
Okay, so you see GoDaddy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let me just. So I own a bunch of URLs, and I think this is like for Facebook. I think this is important because again, it's really just getting like micro niched. Let me see. So I own probably, I don't know, 200 websites or something, but I'll show you where they then get dropped to.
Cool.
So, all right. So like all of these different websites, right? Like Dorchester is like a good section of Boston to buy properties, sell Dorchester house fast. So in each one of these, if I go into it, right, they all get forwarded to my ocbuyshouses.com.
Yep.
So each one of these like very niche URLs just go to here, which is my Carrot site.
Sweet.
So it's just another way to like grab somebody's attention, like, oh, sell Dorchester house fast. He must really want properties in Dorchester versus sell Massachusetts house fast. Well, he'll buy anything. He's an investor. Like the more that you can kind of give the impression like you're a local home buyer, I think the better you're going to convert.
Dude, and that's important because when they're looking at the ad, the URL usually shows right there, right? So that's just that one extra little bit of credibility and all that stuff. That's big.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually did something bad the other day. I put a URL for a different city it was like Chelmsford was the city, and I put sell Dorchester house fast. But the great thing about Facebook is when you run ads, people troll your ads all day long. So like within like 10 minutes of running that ad, they're like, what are you, a jerk? But they didn't use that. They were much meaner than that, but they were like, what's wrong with you? So like, pretty much immediately I knew that I made a mistake, and then I just corrected it. But
cool. Are you running your own ads, like you physically?
So I split tested them. I kind of like got them up and running, but now I have somebody manage them because it's such a pain to like log in. I've got so many campaigns going right now that just to track them, and they go out of budget. So like basically like once the ad starts to get above like $100 a lead, then we start to say like, do we really want to keep this ad? Do we run a new one? Do we try another picture? All that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Cool. But the cool thing there is, Tom started this himself, and he's a busy dude. It's not like you've got ample time everywhere. You've got young kids, you've got 200 agents that work for your brokerage, you've got your investment company. So it's not like you have this abundance of hundreds of hours a week that you just want to go run Facebook ads. So you found the time, you carved it out, you dove in, learned it, you implemented it, you created a system and handed that off to someone to maintain. And I think that's such a great process where you can start something, learn it, hand it off to someone else to maintain in maintenance mode.
Yeah, and I think it depends on like where you're at. Like if you're on a complete shoestring budget, then you've got to do it yourself, right? And there's some value in figuring stuff out yourself anyways to hand off the system. But if you're already a successful investor and you say, man, I want to ramp up my Facebook campaign, and you really don't have that time, I probably wouldn't recommend learning it. Even though I learned it, I don't know that there was value in me learning it, because you can have somebody manage this for you at not that high of a cost. And so it just depends, I think, where you're at in your investment career today.
Yep. So I want to recap really quick so you guys can write down the process if you haven't had a chance to. Okay. So first of all, launch some ads at really low budgets per day to split test, right? So Tom was launching, I'm just kind of throwing out numbers here, but he was launching 5, 10, 15, 20, however many it was, little short campaigns with $1 to $2 a day. You kind of see which ones, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, you kind of see which ones would then start to perform better. You'd go, okay, let me cut the ones that aren't performing good. Let me focus on that one or two or however many it was that's performing good, getting me cost per leads, it's working. Let me scale it up. So bump it up to 10 to 15 a day, depending on the market. If the market's really big, like LA you mentioned, that might be a bigger budget, depending on how many people you need to be getting in front of. You're creating simple ads and you're kind of testing different images back and forth. And you're always wanting to grab their attention through it. So you saw that the picture he put in there, that was not what a lot of people are putting in their Facebook ads. They're going and grabbing a stock photo from
the picture of like a family, holding a baby. That doesn't work.
Yeah, or the
tell you right now.
or the sold sign. Like it's obviously a stock photo with the red sold sign. They're standing in front of this beautiful house. Like, come on, that's not real. Like, that's not what your friends and people are posting. So immediately alarms go off in your mind, going like sales.
Subconsciously, they're saying skip it.
Yep.
Like, and they don't even know that they've skipped it, but they've skipped it.
Exactly. I love it. So think about that kind of stuff like Tom was doing. Grab their attention. He's using affinity towards their local area, which was way cool. I love it. And then the copy drags him down. Then he's doing lead ads. Was that all you're doing were lead ads? And then were you doing any other type of ad where?
Oh yeah. So in that copy, which I couldn't expand because I don't know, Facebook is just annoying. Like part of the copy, if I was able to expand it, would say like, to get your, instant offer, click here. And then that would drop to the carrot site.
Gotcha.
So in the ad, so all of the ones, that's why I said like the numbers that you pulled up for me are low, because most people will click the learn more, which is the Facebook form. But then some people will read the ad and click there, and then they drop to the carrot site, and then they fill out the information.
Sweet. I love it. So there's the lead ad side of it, and then you drive them to your carrot site if they click that part of it. Just drive them to your homepage. Don't overcomplicate it, y'all. And also one thing I want to toss out to you too, because there's some people who have mentioned some things in here. It's like, hey, I haven't had a big chance to go in and dial in my website. When I first looked at yours, man, you guys didn't really do a whole lot to it. You had uploaded your logo to it. I think you might have had a little bit of an about page in there, but there wasn't much customization that you guys had done to the carrot site when you were driving Facebook traffic to, if any.
We did. I don't think we did anything. I think we uploaded a logo and that was it.
Yeah.
And you guys redid my website. It was part of the SEO package that I'm working with you on.
Yep.
But I don't know that it made a difference. Like I don't think you need to go crazy with it at all. Like I don't think you want to even fool around with that.
Yeah, and that's kind of at the end of the day, we've dialed in our framework so well that you guys can go plug and play. I think we're dialing in the credibility and the visual works really well. This is where we see a difference. It's harder to track, but it's where we see a difference. So let's say that same lead opts into 5 other websites, right? So at that point, they're solution aware. They know you exist. They know 4 other companies exist, and then they go through the vetting and verifying phase. I think if you've got, and we've seen this in data, but if you've got, let's say 4 carrot sites, all of them are just basic, none of them have dialed in any credibility. And this other one has great testimonials on there. They've got their Better Business Bureau there, or whatever it is that increase that credibility profile. They all got the same lead, but that one actually did an extra job during the vetting and verifying phase to build that credibility, which makes them more apt to then close the deal with you. So that's something that at the very least, just launch the site. You don't even have to have a logo. Tom had a logo, but a lot of people use Carrot don't have logos. Drive them to your homepage. That's going to convert better than you going and using our competitors, setting up something on Wix, Weebly, or WordPress or Squarespace. And then from there, dial in your credibility. That's the biggest thing. And if you want to focus on SEO, then you do need to then go through and write some custom copy, which we can guide you through that, or we can hook you up with people who can do that for you for a fee. So I'm going to go through some questions now, man. So hopefully I'm saying this right. Near Wittenberg says, do you do the Facebook stuff in-house? So we kind of answered that. So the person that you've handed it off to now, are they in your office or are they outside your office?
They're inside my office, and that's basically like probably half of what they do all day long.
Okay, cool. But you built up to that. So that way people don't feel like, oh my gosh, we've got to have someone, part-time in here working in this. Build up to it and get it going from there. Next, Jim has a good question here. It says, and of course, states differ, so we're not attorneys and go out there and talk to your own legal counsel. But he says, Tom, do you disclose that you're a realtor in all of your marketing, like your direct mail, Facebook ads, Google ads, Carrot site? He's from Sarasota, Florida. So what are you required to do in Boston?
So when we get out face to face with people, we have to give them a disclosure document. But we're not. I mean, I don't really want to list any of these houses. So keep that in mind. Like, we're basically, when we go out there, we're finding out what makes the most sense for a seller. And if it doesn't make sense for the person to sell directly to me, then we'll tell them, and then we'll give them the listing option.
Yep, cool. And I think it really depends too on what your state requires, right? I know California.
Oh, it's definitely different. Strict. It's very different state to state. So we just have to give out and have them sign like it's called an agency disclosure document. So they have to know that if we're going out there and we're an agent, that we are an agent.
Yep, I love it. And yeah, like I said, California I know is really strict with some things. And we're in agent care beta right now, we're building out IDX and some other things right now. We're kind of going through that. We're going, okay, well, what can we best do to kind of cover our bases? So people, some states you have to put your broker's logo somewhere in addition to your own, or you have to put this here or this there. So we're working through that. And Nira, kind of as a follow-up question, says, so either I have to learn Facebook on my own or hire someone. Is anyone doing this as a service? Yeah, so if you want Facebook ads going, you definitely have to have someone doing it. So it's either going to be you doing it and you kind of put in sweat equity, or you pay someone else to do it. There are services doing it. What we can do, Nir, is we can connect you with Kylie. He's a dude that runs Facebook traffic for a lot of our clients, and we're partnering with him on a Facebook ads course. He runs Facebook traffic, tons of Facebook traffic. So we can connect you with him. Sweet. And he's not cheap, so that's the thing. If you don't want to put in the time time and energy to really learn this well and become an amazing practitioner at this, the people who are good at it, I mean, they're not cheap. They're not going to be $100 a month. So just a matter of knowing your numbers, knowing your math, and making sure that you work their monthly fee into that overall math equation. Yeah, cool. This is a good question. So from Andrew's out of Fort Collins, Colorado, says phone call opt-ins. What system? Okay, cool. So he's asking specific to Carrot, but what do you guys use, Tom, on your guys' end for phone call stuff? Like when someone calls your phone number, what system are they going through, and how do you guys handle it?
We use a Pat Live system, and it's basically a 24/7, call center that will answer our calls. They take the information and then they transcribe it, and it goes right into follow-up boss after they've taken the call.
Cool. And do you guys have multiple phone numbers, like tracking numbers, so you can tell where the calls came from, or do you guys not get that deep in it?
We do. With the mailers, we get really specific. Like we'll know which one's the first letter, which one's the second letter, which one's the third letter, all that kind of stuff. But we don't. I went crazy with that when I first started. Like we had a million different numbers. But what we found is that we really only have a few major lead sources. And so at this point, I'm not even sure that it even makes sense to do it. Like when I was testing all these different things, it made sense. But at this point, we do have those numbers, but like I don't even look at them anymore. Like I know the first letter is going to get X, the second letter. Same thing with the website.
Yep, totally. And that's kind of what most people do if they are going to do any call tracking. They'll have something so they can tell this came from my direct mail. This for sure was from like a Facebook ad, or this is from a Google ad. And that might be the extent of what some people do. But like you mentioned, as you get deep into it and you just know your numbers, and you just know, well, I'm going to get X% of these from here and X% of these from here. And at the end of the day, it's like you can analyze, but there's a point to where you're analyzing so much you don't get the value out of it.
Yeah, like when you pulled up my stacks up, I haven't seen that. I mean, like I've kind of gone the opposite way. I used to get really analytical with the stuff when I first started, but now when I've had the brokerage component added in, I know I'm getting an ROI just on the listing side alone. So it would be better for me to know my numbers a little bit better, but I already know like the mechanisms are all working.
Yep, totally. Sweet. Elaine, Deal Automator, I'm not familiar with that CRM. That's something that I know we don't directly integrate with, but it might be something that if it's a real estate agent specific thing, we might look at. But yeah, right now we don't integrate with that directly, but we do have our lead manager in here. And a lot of people, as we're making our lead manager better, a lot of people, I'm going to take it off the leads there, but a lot of people are starting to use our lead manager. We're going to be baking a lot of new features into it. Now, it's not going to be as robust as a really dialed in automated Podio setup or possibly what Tom has. But we're going to continue to add new things. We're going to add appointment calendar. I can't talk right now, but we're going to add where you can set appointments inside of here that integrates with the Google Calendar. We're going to add other things to make it better and better so people can continue to use it. But what I suggest is right now, y'all, unless you're generating so many leads that you just have to have a robust CRM to manage those leads, use what we've got. Like if you're just generating 10 or 20 or 30 leads a month, you can completely handle it inside of Carrot even more than that. You don't need this robust CRM. A CRM is to automate when you get overwhelmed with not being able to keep up with the leads that you've already got coming in. Great question though. So, okay, that's a good question, Tom. So if you send the listing to a fellow agent or a broker, okay, you already mentioned this before, is it a 50-50 split? She says, I'm an agent, not a broker. So to clear this up, you own the brokerage, correct?
I own the brokerage, and if I generate the appointment, it's a 50-50 split between me and the agents.
Okay, cool. Sweet. Perfect. So that's pretty cut and dry there. I like it. Yep, John, we'll answer that one here in a second on that. Direct mailing to specific lists. Okay, here's Alan in New York, and he's talking about direct mail. So what part of your overall mix are you using with direct mail right now? I know you mentioned you guys are hammering cold calling. Facebook's working really, really well for you. You've got some other stuff that's kind of more to provide error cover, versus it just getting a massive ROI. Where does direct mail fit into that?
We still get a really good ROI on direct mail. So the reality of my numbers look like this. Like you used a really high cost per lead on the Facebook side to run my numbers, and you got to a $14,000 or $15,000 cost per lead. The reality on the Facebook side is it's more like $8,000 per deal.
Yep. On
the direct mail, it's more like 15.
Cool.
So again, you looked at those numbers, and it's like the net profit is so high. We've maxed out all of the Facebook spend. And then we also max out the mailing as well. So for every city that we want to buy properties in, like I get, emails and messages on Facebook all the time. Like these guys never stop mailing me. They never stop calling me. They never stop, putting ads up in front of me. And we just stay consistent. We're always in front of these people. So we really do like mailing. But the thing is, like, if you're just starting out and you have a smaller marketing budget, it's going to be tough to compete on the mailing side because you're going to need double the budget in order to get a deal. Yeah. As of today, if we were having this call 3 years ago, I would be like, you should mail all day long. But right now, like when we go on an appointment with somebody with a mailing appointment, there'll usually be like a stack of like 5 to 7 letters on that person's desk.
Dude, I love it. So Richard's been with us for a while, and he's got a couple questions here. One I want to address here is probably 2 years ago. I was pretty 2 years ago, I was pretty vocal that a lot of people were Facebook was the new amazing thing, right? It's like everyone and their dog wanted to run the Facebook ads for sellers. And we were doing a lot of testing ourselves. We had a lot of clients running testing for using Facebook on the investment side. It's always worked really well to get a volume of buyers, tenants, rent-to-own tenants, things like that, because they're way lower friction type of a lead. It's easier to get those types of leads. They're lower cost. But 2 years ago, we did advise people against, like, don't go to Facebook for sellers if you're not crazy experienced in it, because we haven't found predictable patterns that people have nailed the sellers on Facebook 2 years ago. So Richard says, I've never heard of anybody getting leads from Facebook in our industry. Trevor, once you told me not to use Facebook, I won't get leads. Have you changed your mind on Facebook? So what happened was I have evolved in that as Facebook has evolved, right? Because 2 years ago, Facebook didn't have the level of aggregation of the data behind the scenes that they do now. Like, you can do targeting now that you couldn't do 6 months ago in some respects. You can do targeting now that you couldn't do 2 years ago. So as they've brought in this other data and they've appended data like Tom was mentioning, it's made it way easier to actually get in front of the people that you can best help. And it's lowered your ad costs. So you could always get leads out of Facebook before. That never changed. People were still there who needed to sell their house. The problem was, for most people, it would cost you so much to get that lead that your numbers wouldn't work for you. But with people getting better at it, Facebook getting more data in there, it's became way, way easier. In the past 6 to 8 months, guys like Tom have been going out there and crushing. We've seen a lot of that happening. Our number 3 lead source is Facebook, and it has been the past about 8 months. Yep. Yeah, so right here, Tom, he says, can you show us how the leads go into Carrot and how you move them into the CRM? So the leads that come into Carrot, the ones that actually go to the website, do you integrate with your CRM from inside of there, or how do you get those leads to your team?
So let me just see if I can do a share again. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yep, gotcha.
Okay, so Follow Up Boss, this is my CRM. So if I go to like reporting, so far 42 leads came through the website today.
Sweet.
So like as an example, so what happens is somebody fills out a form on the Carrot site or on the Facebook form, it automatically comes into here.
Mm-hmm.
It goes on what we call an email and call action plan,
Cool.
which starts to send them, my emails, and then it also queues up my inside sales agent. So Nicole, who quote unquote nurtures the calls, she calls them. So like the lead came in at whatever 10:30, she called them at 10:59. She called me back, spoke to her briefly. We lost connection. I tried to call back, no answer. So this is just an example of one lead and how Follow Up Boss works. So this email campaign will continue to go off, and she'll continue to call them. So she's got another call set up to make today to try to get back in touch with this person again.
Sweet. I love it. So how are they getting in there? Is it just you take the email notification from the lead and have them send it to Follow Up Boss, or is there something through our back end?
Through Carrot, there's some connection, and I think you guys actually set that up for me to go from Carrot. Yeah, so you guys did that, but to go to Facebook ads to Follow Up Boss, I use a program called Zapier.
Yep.
And Zapier basically just connects two programs together, so you can connect Facebook lead ads. Let me just show you guys. And again, this is getting crazy technical, but I don't want to bore you. But Facebook lead ads, and then you select everything, and then it triggers to go where you want it to go, and we trigger it to go to Follow Up Boss.
Cool. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for us with any CRM was we don't want to do manual data entry, because if we do manual data entry, then we start to screw up.
Totally.
Yeah.
And dude, I just took a look in the back end of your site. So yeah, answering that question, they're sending their leads from the Carrot site through Zapier as well. So
they are. Okay. So
yep. Send it
I
right
think
over
you
there.
guys did that for me, or maybe even I've got like a full-time admin. I might have asked him to do it. I can't really remember, but
yeah, and that's something our support team, y'all, everyone on the line, we can totally help you with that kind of stuff, and we totally may have done it because our team does that stuff every day. A couple more questions that we're going to bounce, because I know we try to keep these at 90 minutes. So there's a few people asking specifically about Google AdWords, so I'm going to address that really quick. John has a question there. I think Richard, was it Richard that asked about Google? Yeah, so Richard says, would you still do Google? And then there's another one, so I'm going to lump these all into one big question. And then Sarah says, I have a $500 a month budget. I was just about to start a Google AdWords account, but after watching this, I'm considering Facebook instead. Thoughts?
now
So
$500 is, you're going to get 2 leads.
Yep.
So Google AdWords, better leads, less volume. And trust me, everyone starts out with a $500 budget or even a $200 budget. And if you're going to start out with a smaller budget like that, you definitely have to go Facebook. It's the only place that's going to give you a bunch of leads for a small amount of money. Mailers, you're lucky to even get 1 call off of that. And Google, depending on the market, you might get 1 or 2 leads.
Yeah, and like Tom's saying, it does depend on the market. We run Google AdWords ads in a good amount of markets for some really high-end investors. And whenever we're going into a market, kind of our framework, and this is our framework, right? But our framework is we launch Google AdWords for the long term, get SEO going, for sure get Facebook retargeting, and then we scale up the Facebook ads as that market permits. And so on the Google AdWords side of things, the biggest part with all of this is this, right? You mentioned, Sarah, you have a $500 a month budget. The first thing, and I did a podcast on this, so I'm going to find this, I'm going to send it to you. Budget. So the first thing right here is so many people, they set a marketing budget based on emotion or based on like it feels good to have a $500 budget. Like I don't want to risk X amount, right? And I think it's this one right here. Let's see. I'll send it to you guys. But there's a podcast that we have done on basically not basing your marketing budget around emotion. And so many people will pick a number out of thin air because they feel that that's what they can risk. The problem is, let's say you get through the $500 and you're in a market like Tom was mentioning, whether you go Facebook or Google, and it's just going to cost you more. Let's say you're in Houston, you know, it's going to be $25 a click or whatever it's going to be in Google AdWords. And your website, let's say it converts at 10%. So you're going to have one lead with $250 in ad spend. But let's say, I'm making numbers up here again, let's say your average profit per deal is 30K, and we start to work those numbers back where if you do the math that I walked through in that podcast, we'll actually tell you what your minimum budget should be based on the average profit per deal and what your lead to close ratio is, what your minimum budget should be to make math work in your favor. Because if you can show, like Tom was saying, he's closing one deal out of Facebook for every $8,000.
I was just going to say the problem with the $500 budget is that you're going to buy a house every 16 months.
Yep, exactly.
So what I would recommend there is if you're willing to put in the sweat equity, buy the cell phone records for the area, get on the dialer, and start generating some of your own leads.
Yep, I love it. That right there is huge. Like if we could take a snippet of what Tom just said there, that's huge, because if your budget's based on emotion, that's going to get you way discouraged, and you're probably going to get a few leads, not get a deal on that $500. Maybe you'll even put in $1,000, not get a deal, and you might stop because the emotion takes over. But if you do the math, you know, Tom's bringing in a $70,000 profit deal for every $8,000 he puts in. If you were to stop at $1,500, you might as well burn that $1,500. Like you might as well burn it.
When we work with people, we require that they have a minimum of an $8,000 marketing budget, because if they don't, and that's over the course of 10 weeks, because if they don't, we know realistically it's going to be really difficult for them to do anything. And like you said, you spend $1,000 a month, you don't get anything for 2 months, you feel like you're burning the money, and then you stop.
Mm-hmm. And we have a cool little calculator. If you guys go to oncarrot.com/ROI, and I'll share my screen really, really fast here. Oncarrot.com/ROI. Do you have a hard stop, Tom? Like, do you need to jet right now?
No.
Good for a few minutes? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll show this really quickly here. And this is a tool that we built because I was walking people through the math of this so much. I'm like, man, we really need to understand the math, because the two biggest reasons that I see people not succeeding online is, number one, they don't have a realistic marketing budget based on math. It's based on emotion. So they stop too soon, or they're not spending enough to actually have math work with you. Number two is they're driving them to a website that isn't set up to convert well. We've had so many people come over to Carrot from something else where their online strategy was dialed in. They had a great marketing budget, it was based on math. They had great ads, but their website didn't convert well. So they were driving people to an unoptimized thing. So you get those two, you're way ahead of the game. So right here, I'm just going to use numbers here. Let's say your average profit per deal is 30K. Okay, let's just go 1 in 20 leads into a deal, and you can always, you know, that's a KPI that you can hone in and make better. Let's say your cost per click, you know, let's say conversion rate on the website's 8%. Let's say your cost per click, I'm just going to bump this up to like 15. Okay, so let's say your cost per click is that. And this is just one way to do the calculation. We're going to come out with some other ones. This is basically saying that in order to get a $30,000 profit deal, assuming these numbers, you should be okay to spend, for sure, like, don't stop your marketing spending before $3,750. Because if you stop at $1,500, if you stop at $2,000, you're basically not letting math work for you. It could be literally like, here's a good example. I was on one of these coaching calls right here. And there were two guys on it. One guy was saying, hey, man, I've put $1,500 into Google AdWords and I haven't closed the deal yet. Like I'm getting ready to, or I shut it off. He already did shut it off. And I'm starting to go through this exercise with him. His average profit per deal in that market was close to the 30K. And his numbers were very close to these numbers right here. Another guy on the same call, he goes, I was about ready to do the same thing a few months ago. And he's an experienced investor, but then came online to ramp things up. And he goes, I didn't close that first deal in his market until he hit $3,500 in ad spend. But that deal netted him, it was about $25,000. Okay, so if he would have stopped at 2,000 or 2,500 or even 3,000, he would have burned the 3,000 and not had the chance to make that 25K. But you have to make math work for you, and everyone tries to upend the math equation and put emotion in there. And then it's guys like Tom and guys and gals who know their math that actually win the game, because Tom's willing to spend the money to get the deals out.
It is a super tough thing. I mean, I remember when I first started, like, it's difficult to make the commitment to the marketing, but that's even more of a reason to get your real estate license. Because if you can basically just even out your cash flow by taking some listings on it, then you're not going to be as nervous about continuing to put the money back into marketing and not really being sure if you're going to get it back. Because that's always the fear. You put the money into marketing, what if you don't get it back? But if you're getting it back in small increments by having your real estate license, it's just a way to just, make you feel more confident with putting more and more money back into marketing.
Take two more questions, then we will bounce. Yes, Kyle, we're going to adjust that calculator here soon to go for Facebook ads, all kinds of different stuff. Because I've been working a lot of equations with people lately. One number I'm big on is your max cost per lead, because we kind of did a good example of that with Tom at the start of this call, where I took his highest lead number there, and we could have even went higher. I think Tom's max cost per lead is probably way higher than $400, really. But you want to get them way lower than that. So yeah, we're going to work in some other things there for sure. But to kind of tie this up, and there's two questions that a bunch of people have asked here for sure. Is Sarah did a follow-up question on the cold call thing, because you mentioned, hey, with a $500 a month budget, what I would do is, buy the cell phone records. So she's saying, so where would I get those records? Who am I calling? Can you narrow that down? And there's a follow-up question with someone else too, saying, how do you buy those records?
So we've got a system called the warm calling system. It's $2,000 where we'll give you all of that. We'll give you the dialer. We'll give you the cell phone records. We'll tell you who to call. We'll actually coach you on what to say and what to do. But where you would build a database, just like I mentioned, you would target the areas that you want to buy houses in, make sure that they have equity. And then where I get cell phone records is a company called LexisNexis. And LexisNexis pulls data from credit cards, like whatever you put on a credit card application. So it tends to be more cell phone based. Those records are expensive. They're like 15 to 20 cents a record, depending upon how much volume you buy. But again, if you're talking about having like a $2,000 max marketing budget, the reason I'm suggesting it is because you have to start generating your own leads with that kind of marketing budget. Google pay-per-click, you're probably not going to get a deal from that, so you have to put in more sweat equity on it.
Yep, I love it. Well, sweet. There's a couple more questions that are more geared on carrot stuff, so I will follow up with those here, let you get going, man. And everyone, cool. I so appreciate the heck out of everyone taking the time out of their day to come on this carrot coaching call. We do these every single Tuesday at 11 o'clock Pacific time. Oftentimes they're straight up open Q&A where we can dig in, and if you're ranking at the top of page 2 in Google for keyword phrases, we'll tell you exactly what you need to do to get higher. If you're dialing in your website, we'll tell you exactly what you need to get higher. There are a few questions in here where people are wanting to get started and wanting to get their website styled, and we'll follow up with you directly offline and get you going here. Okay, John has a question about having us review his AdWords campaign and some other things. So, Tom, dude, I so appreciate you hopping on this call, dude. I always have a blast talking with our clients and seeing what you guys are doing, because that's what fires me up, man. It's like just seeing people going out there and building great businesses that they can then share those stories with other people, so other people can build a great business that gives them the freedom and flexibility. So yeah, I really appreciate
if more people, like if you want to get on my email list or get in touch with me directly, you can just go to my URL, www.realestateinvestingiseasy.com. And when you go there, it's a webinar, but by putting in your email, you'll get my email. So even if you don't want to watch my webinar, which is fine, you can get on my email list. And then if you have questions directly for me, you can just respond back to my emails that automatically trigger.
I love it. I love it. Guys, go over there, check it out. Tom's a real deal. We showed you behind the scenes, like into his Carrot account, so you can see the actual stuff that was happening inside of his Facebook account. So that's one thing that we do. Like, one of our core values is transparency. So when we bring people on here, we don't want to be just talking about this you know, this high level stuff without showing like, hey, this is actually happening. You can do the same darn thing. Like there's nothing that Tom has or had when he got started that you guys don't have really. So you guys have to march through those steps yourself. There's going to be stumbles. There's going to be times when you doubt yourself, but you've got to trust, you know, the process works and work it until it works. It's going to work.
Yeah, that's the good thing and the bad thing about real estate investing is that it's not like by having 10 years of experience, I really have a huge competitive advantage over somebody. Like somebody can come in, run the same ads and compete with me directly. So it's a good thing for new people, for, you know, super experienced people. I mean, it's just an open playing field, really.
Yep. And dude, I'll end it on this. So you summed that up so well, but also one thing I want people to pick up is Thomas showing you exactly what he's doing. So he doesn't know or probably even really care if someone is in Boston that watch this, because he's got a mind of abundance. He's got a mind of sharing and helping other people. So take this business and do it that way. If there's other people in your market, don't look at them as competitors. Go out there and just, number one, outwork them, you know, outwork them, now out execute them, but also find how you guys can all grow and rise together. And Tom, I appreciate you being the epitome of what it is that we're looking to do. Keep crushing over there. Guys, check out his website. What was the URL again, man?
www.realestateinvestingiseasy.com.
Sweet. Everyone have an amazing rest of the week. And like I said, we're going to start for the advanced marketers. If you're not in the advanced marketer plan, go into your account and you can go to the membership tab, click upgrade, and you can upgrade to the advanced marketer plan. Right now, if you're Content Pro, it's only $50 a month more, and it gives you access to 12 exclusive Content Pro articles that are written with, that are 800 words a piece, have images in them that only advanced marketers access. No other people in the whole user base accesses those. You also access more SEO tracking. You can track up to, I think, 20 or 30 keywords per website SEO wise. You have unlimited campaign tracking links for your Facebook ads and things like that to know exactly which ads are performing for you. We have other features rolling out on the SEO side of things. You have priority support, so your emails always go to the priority inbox. And here around the start of the year, we're going to start having on guys just like Tom once a month just for the advanced marketer plan, so we can really zero in at the highest level clients that we have, break apart their business in advanced marketer, and do that. If your Content Pro advanced marketer is not a fit for you, then you're not ready to upgrade, we're still always going to have these weekly coaching calls every single Tuesday at 11 o'clock, and then probably once a quarter bring on a guy like Tom, a guy like Tom, to really show what they're doing. So head over there, upgrade while you're still getting the basically 25% off. If you upgrade in January, it's gonna be $200 a month. If you upgrade now, it's gonna be $150 a month. So sweet. Have an amazing week, and check it out. Thanks, guys. Have an amazing week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.